Elelainer Bridetwood, a devoted wife and mother, is presumed powerless and invisible after her husband's death as her family greedily claims his fortune. Unknown to them, she secretly financed and saved the family company years ago and authored the key IPO proposal under a pseudonym. When the will is read, Elelainer asserts her legal and intellectual ownership, reclaiming her legacy and proving her worth. In the aftermath, she finds empowerment, independence, and purpose. The house smelled of roses and dust, a thin whisper of memory lingering in the air. Elelainer Bridetwood descended the staircase in black, her hands lightly tracing the polished banister her husband had once loved to maintain. She had spent decades inside this home, building it with love, filling it with warmth and care, and now she watched it being stripped from her as her family celebrated their victory. Her son, Joseph, smirked, leaning casually against the hallway wall. "Don't expect a dime from Dad's $92 million. Behind him, his wife floated through the rooms like a socialite at an exhibition, surveying the trophies of her late father-in-law with undisguised hunger. Her grandson slapped neon stickers on furniture as if the house were a carnival prize booth. "This one's mine," he said brightly. Elalainer's eyes followed them, tracing the chaos of entitlement. The leather armchair where her husband had napped, the grandfather clock that had marked their lives in steady ticks, the wedding china that once glittered on Sunday dinners, now claimed, labeled, cataloged, and mocked. And she sat, still, in the mudroom, offered a folding chair and a plate of cold chicken, ignored, invisible. She sipped her tea, letting the laughter and chatter wash over her like water over stone. They assumed silence meant weakness, that years of dedication could be overlooked. They didn't see the sharp mind that had saved the family business from bankruptcy, the hours spent writing proposals by candlelight, the quiet sacrifices invisible to the world. Elelainer reached into her sweater pocket, feeling the crisp edges of a document she had kept secret for 15 years. The joint trust, notarized and signed, her name inked in bold blue beside her husband's. They didn't know, they couldn't imagine, that the fortune they thought belonged to them had been built on her choices, her money, her intellect. She exhaled slowly, letting the heat from her palm seep into the papers. Let them have their party. Let them claim her home and laugh at her quiet. She had waited, and now the will reading would mark the reckoning. This house might belong to them, but the legacy, the real legacy, was hers, unseen, untouchable, undeniable. The hours crawled as Elelainer remained in her corner of the house. Joseph's voice floated through the kitchen. "The lake house is mine. The boat's already under my name." His wife laughed softly at the audacity. The furniture was claimed, the paintings assigned, even the photographs peeled from the walls and tossed into boxes. Her fingers brushed the anniversary photo tucked behind a broom. 30 years of shared life stared back at her, frozen smiles in a golden frame. She remembered the cinnamon mornings, the home-cooked meals, the nights spent tutoring her children, holding their dreams in her hands. They erased everything quietly, meticulously, like surgeons stripping away flesh. But she remembered. And she had a plan. 15 years ago, when the company teetered on collapse, she had sold her jewelry, her heirlooms, every personal treasure, wiring the money directly to the company's escrow account. She whispered to her husband, "Use it. Don't let them see it came from me." He never asked. He couldn't know. And now she would make sure they did. She picked up the folder hidden under the laundry room cot, the original IPO proposal, the blueprint for the company's revival, authored by her hand under a pseudonym. Her mind traced each word, each calculation, each step she had taken while no one watched. Tonight, she would bring it all to light. Her grandson's bright green sticker caught her eye. She smiled faintly. "This one's mine," she whispered under her breath. One by one, she would claim what was hers. Not out of vengeance, not out of anger, but to restore truth. And when the time came, they would see that they had underestimated the quietest voice in the room. The will reading began, the room thick with anticipation. Mr. Alden, their long-trusted lawyer, adjusted his glasses, clicking open the silver voice recorder. Harold Brightetwood's calm voice filled the space. If my son ever speaks ill of his mother, deduct $1 million per word. Shock rippled across the room. Joseph's confident demeanor faltered. Whispers and mutters attempted to deny the directive, but Mr. Alden held up transcripts, evidence meticulously collected. The tally reached tens of millions, and the family's laughter died midair. Ella Lehner spoke for the first time. Quiet, steady, measured. He built an empire. I built the spine. Her voice, a soft avalanche, washed over the room. Every stolen, overlooked contribution, the IPO proposal, the emergency investments, the intellectual property, now had legal weight, recognized in ink and law. Faces drained of color. The invisible woman became the undeniable force. Contracts, deeds, patents, all bore her mark. Joseph's hands trembled on the polished table, the arrogance gone, replaced by disbelief. She had been the backbone all along, the quiet architect of their fortune. They stared, silent, as Mr. Alden handed Ella Lehner the folders containing the deeds, patents, and royalties. Each document a brick in the empire they had claimed for themselves. The room seemed to shrink, the air heavy with the realization of what they had ignored. She described the strategy, the letters, the anonymous proposal, every move that had saved the company. The inheritance was hers, the intellectual property hers, the moral victory hers. No shouting, no revenge, just the pure, devastating truth. Her son tried to speak, voice breaking. Mom. Too late, she said, calm as dawn. The clock ticked, echoing like a drumbeat of justice. They had buried her while alive. Now they were unearthing her brilliance. Ella Lehner walked through the house, room by room, removing stickers, reclaiming her belongings. Silence replaced greed. The grand piano, the armchairs, the photographs, all restored to her hands. The space breathed again, purified by recognition and rightful ownership. Outside, the garden waited. She tended the wilted rose bush, pouring water slowly, methodically. Each drop a reclaiming of time, dignity, and care. This house, once trampled by arrogance, now mirrored her own resurgence. The family watched from a distance, unable to interfere. Their plans, their greed, reduced to reflection and shame. Ella Lehner, the quiet builder, had taken back her voice and her world, leaving the house, the legacy, and her family to reckon with truth. Months later, Ella Lehner moved to Santa Barbara, wide windows framing the sea, a soft breeze carrying the scent of new beginnings. The royalties arrived, quiet and steady, supporting a foundation she created for overlooked women, the ones whose brilliance had been dismissed. She hung a wooden sign outside her penthouse. This house was funded by a burden. Enjoy the silence. She smiled at it, knowing the past no longer dictated her life. Inside, essential memories remained, a drawing from her grandson, a reminder that recognition begins with self-belief. Her story, long buried, now unfolded with quiet power, proof that invisibility could not erase impact. She had been underestimated, dismissed, silenced, but she had reclaimed her name, her legacy, and her voice. And with that, she was free.